I hope everyone is doing well tonight. If you're brand new here, I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not here. I'm Brian Knight, and if I seem a little distracted right now, I am trying a new broadcasting technique tonight, and quite honestly, I don't even know if you can hear me. I'm actually going to go online and check and see, and I am broadcasting live. I just pulled it up on my phone and just saw it. So if you can hear me, please give me the thumbs up and let me know, and I would appreciate that. So I'm going to try to dive right in. Quite honestly, I know I'm now late to the party. Early this morning, it came out that DJ had entered the transfer portal. Really didn't shock anybody that this happened, and that it happened quickly. Jonathan Benton says, "We hear you." So, I just want to say this. I want to start off by saying this, that I stand by my comments that DJ was in the wrong system. I stand by it. And this is not about being right or wrong because it's me. It's because I really believe that it's right. The guy was not set up for this particular system. And so I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm going to focus now because this is a new system. I'm glad that it's working and so on. And let me know if the sound quality sounds good. I'm actually running this through one of my recording mics and etc. Anyway, I'm new to this part of it of running through this whole system. I know you're bored with hearing me talk about that. So let's talk about DJ. But as I was saying, I was late to the party because I actually had a water leak in my wall downstairs, and I had to cut that sucker out today. So I'm just now getting to where I can talk about this. I had a lot to do and get that taken care of, and that's why I'm late to the party. So, starting over, DJ looked better at the beginning, towards the middle of this year, and then it just fell apart. It just really fell apart. And at that point, that's where the coaches who are paid more money than you and I have ever seen in our lives, that's where they have to step in and make the hard decision. And it's for the best of the young man that is involved. It's for the best of the person who's sitting in the backup position, going, "Hold on, I'm doing everything I'm told to do." And then when you send me out there, you're sending me out there with second stringers. You won't send me out with the first string. You send me out against Notre Dame with my back to my own end zone, and I throw one interception trying to make something happen. And then you replace me only to send the other guy back out there to throw a pick six. See, this doesn't help. We also saw the energy level that increased with the offense and the defense. And we saw what happened with North Carolina. North Carolina got their tail handed to them. And I mean, no disrespect to them. I like Mac Brown. This Drake May kid is ridiculous. What a talented player. Good grief. I mean, this guy is talented. But it's the wrong system for DJ. And I know that DJ will probably never hear this, and if he did, it'd go in one ear and out the other. I'm going to give you a word of advice from someone who I hate it when people make the bad decisions. Okay? If you are looking to go to transfer to any school out there, if they tell you, man, you've got to run the RPO, stay away from them. You need to go to a West Coast style offense where they snap the ball, turn up, throw the football, and throw it quick. The next thing, they need to have a really good offensive line. One of the main values of running the RPO is if your offensive line is maybe undersized, maybe they're not that good. One of the good things about the RPO is you're freezing the defense to where they're playing a bigger guessing game of, is he going to pull it up and throw it? Is he going to hand it off? Is he going to fake the handoff and run? Is he going to fake the handoff and then act like he's going to run, then pull up and toss the ball? It freezes a lot of the play. It makes up for an okay offensive line. That's one of its several values. And I'm just telling you, folks, he needs to go somewhere where he's not running the RPO. He's not built for the RPO. That's ridiculous. He shouldn't be doing that. Somebody sent me a message today that said that they were taking a shot at me, and hey, when you do what I do, even though this is just for fun, I'm not being paid to do this, but when you do what I do, you open yourself up to criticism. That's just part of the game. So I'm not going to be like some people and just blocking you. You're going to have to be pretty vile for me to block you. You're going to have to be just anyway. But with that said, we can have a discussion, and if you can dish it, you darn well will take it, and vice versa. But someone said something along the lines to me that I said that that DJ was not a bad quarterback, but when they benched DJ, Cade came out, played great, and then all our troubles went away. And the idea was, I said, if you think that DJ's not a good quarterback, I didn't say in the system. I said, if you think that he can't throw the ball, you don't know football. I said that. And this person asked me, said, so are you still willing to stand on you don't know football and not being stubborn, just being honest? No, you don't know football. That guy can throw the ball. He can make passes that a lot of players can't. Now, am I saying that he's going to go into the NFL and be the next Tom Brady? No, very few are. Very few will. But I will promise you this, that most of the guys who are holding the Super Bowl trophy, they couldn't run an RPO. They can't run an RPO. Name me one truly mobile quarterback. I'm not someone who can scramble, but I'm talking about name me one mobile quarterback who's rushing for 100, 150 yards per game here and there who has won a Super Bowl. And then if you can name me one, and I doubt you can, that is consistently doing stuff like that, compared to the other quarterbacks who just pulls the ball down and throws it, or not pulls the ball down and throws it. They hold the ball up and throw it. How many? Listen, let me tell you this. If Cam Newton couldn't do it, and he didn't, by the way. Well, he got him to the Super Bowl. I said won it. No, did he win it? No. And I told somebody that a long time ago. I said I don't believe that he has the leadership skills to go out and win as a quarterback. I believe he has athletic ability. I know there's that video going around where Cam Newton was like, he points at the linebacker and goes, I watched film too. You know what? That was really cool. That was a really cocky moment, an aha moment. But did he win a Super Bowl? No, he didn't. More styles, the more people who has the style of pull up and throw the football, they win a Super Bowl. So what I'm saying here is, I'm not saying that DJ is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. No. But the argument was, he is not a bad quarterback. He's in the wrong system. Note to self, to any athletes who's sitting out there, if your abilities does not fit the offense or defense that you're being recruited to go play for a specific team, for the love of anything that is sacred, unless that is the only offer on the table, run. Stay away. Stay away. I don't care if you're the top-rated quarterback in the past 5 years. Stay away. It will not work out. You'll only end up taking... And I'm going to tell you this. I'll criticize the Clemson coaching staff for not putting the right man out on the field, especially about 6 games in once everything started falling apart. Clemson's coaching staff, who, by the way, is paid more money than all of us, and before you get all defensive of him and you start, saying all in and all this bunch of stuff, remember, you're talking about a person who's paid $10 million a year, and for some reason wants to tell people not to hold them accountable as to where you and I, we can be paid whatever we're paid to do our jobs, and if we were to basically give that idea, well, whatever, it doesn't matter, we'd be fired. And unlike this person, we'd probably lose everything else, or everything that we have. So I like Coach Sweeney. I pulled for Coach Sweeney, but he and his staff made the wrong decision on this one. They didn't help DJ. They did not help DJ whatsoever. In fact, if they did anything to DJ, they made him more despised among a fan base. And from my knowledge, DJ never popped his mouth off to anybody. In fact, he seemingly held his tongue. He was seemingly kind. He was seemingly nice. I'm just telling you, it doesn't look good on the coaching staff, and it doesn't look good to the parents and the surrounding support of athletes who are sitting there going, hold on, so you're going to be loyal to this guy, but you're not going to be loyal to me and my unit, me and my wide receiver unit. Look, wide receivers look incredible. And by the way, Bo Collins didn't play the other night. For Clemson fans, you know that. But for anybody who's kind of driving by this thing, you kind of know about Clemson. Maybe you love or hate Dabo, whatever. Or maybe you know about a couple of players here and there. Our best wide receiver did not play the other night. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if he would have played the other night? I do see that there's a lot of people in here, by the way. I know that I am just regurgitating this, but if I seem a little more off than usual, it's because I'm using the new software tonight and I cannot see everybody. In fact, I'm now in the comment section, just going through a couple in here. I'm going to say hello to a few people as I'm in here. Ding Dong 368, it's good to see you. Glad you're in here. DP. Thomas Honeycutt, Jonathan Benton. We got Chase Henry. Chase, I've got a place on my elbow I want you to check out. Maybe we need to do a biopsy. No, I'm kidding. Let me see. RR, Ridge Runner. We got Adam Harrison, Parker Henderson, the other half of the Henderson siblings. Big Mick, Joy Webster, MBH9104, Martin Boyer, Dave Presley. Let me see. Mike Talley. B-Bean. Good to see you guys. A few other people. SEC. SEC Dog in here's stirring the pot. You never, my friend, you never fail to come in and say something that, yeah. Let me see. Mike King. Let me see. All right, so I'm going to dive right back in here. We also know that I'm going to go over the transfer portal list. Now, some of these people we already knew were leaving. Dakari Collins, he ended up leaving, 5 or 6 weeks ago, something like that. We knew that Sergio Allen was leaving. But joining DJ, now this is somebody that you can go back and you can watch my videos. You can watch my Durkins videos from last year before I started this channel back in, late August, early September. I said this even on my Durkins channel from last year, which, by the way, if you don't know Bobby Durkins, go check out Bobby Durkins. He hates my guts, but go check him out anyway. He's nuts. But he said, I said, E.J. Williams would transfer out. If something didn't give, his freshman season, he looked incredible. His freshman season, E.J. Williams, I really believed that we were going to see something great out of E.J. Williams. I really believe that. I believed that guy was going to be the next Justin Ross. I'm talking about like that freshman deal. He was going to be maybe a next T. Higgins. He had that tall, lanky aggressiveness that we saw out of T. Higgins. Then it went on into, Deion Kane and, those types of receivers. And very possessive. They got a lot of finesse to them, but they'll go up and get the ball and fight for it. And in his sophomore season last year, it was just part of the mundane season that was 2021. And then so I kind of gave him some grace for that because I was like, stuff happens. And then we get into this season. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I was at the South Carolina game. I was at the Clemson game, and and it was about 4 minutes left in the game. DJ actually threw a pretty spot on ball. EJ Williams pretty much had the ball and he dropped it. And when he got up and acted like it was nothing, that he just dropped a ball, had he caught the ball, it would have been a first down. And we would have had a shot at driving downfield. I knew something. I was just like, man, this guy doesn't want to be here. And I said that last week. And here he is. He is transferring. So I'll dive on into it. Billy Wiles, he's a backup quarterback. He's out. Kobe Pace is out. I will say a running back room that consists of Will Shipley and then fill in the blank with just somebody good is really hard to get carries. But when you have that second person, and I know Maffa messed up last week against South Carolina, but folks, if we are going to axe our players over one play or even one bad game, I will say that that's pretty crappy of us. And if I'm the parent of a kid who's going to go to Clemson, I'd say stay away from them because their fan base is nuts. They'll turn on you like a snake. But Phil Maffa has been ridiculous. He's something. I mean, he's something. I mean, he is something else, man. And so when you have to contend with Will Shipley and Maffa, that's tough. As I said, Dakari Collins, he's out, so that's 5 from the offense that are outgoing. On the defense, Kevin Swin, a defensive end, he's out. Sergio Allen, we knew he was leaving. He's a linebacker. Levante Bentley, I'd heard rumors about him. I didn't know if it was for sure, if it was a for sure deal, but there it is. And then Fred Davis, a highly recruited cornerback that we had coming out of high school. I remember when Fred Davis committed, and we were just like, dude, we were just happy. You know, we were just flipping happy that that he was just, I mean, incredible. I mean, he was that was a big pickup for anybody who is not familiar with Fred Davis. That was a massive recruiting pickup a few years ago. I remember my dad calling me going, "We got Fred Davis, man. Can you believe it?" And now we're losing him. We're losing him in the portal. That's a whole other video. I'm not going to go into that. But the portal, for anybody who's been living under a rock, or maybe you're like me, you had to go out and doggone it. You know, this morning I walked down and there was a puddle. I saw a puddle in my floor last night in my kitchen, and I knew where the puddle was coming from. There was no lines running in that particular area, and I knew I had an issue. Needless to say, I spent the majority of my day having to deal with that, and then had an eye doctor's appointment, and then by the time I got back, there was some stuff for work that I needed to knock out. And long story short, I'm just here. So, again, the transfer portal has been nuts today. Over the weekend, it's been nuts. Today, it just got even nuttier. And I don't think that we're going to see it end at that. I think we have more. The quarterback from Notre Dame, the second stringer, Pine, the guy who beat Clemson, by the way, he is he's leaving. He's leaving. He's transferring out. So basically, he talked to. Here's what I've read so far. If you have any Notre Dame fans, I know I have some Notre Dame people here who follows me. By the way, some of you know that that I pull for Notre Dame on the side. I have no connection to the school, no connection to Catholicism, no nothing. And I pull for them on the side. I like them. But Clemson, I love Clemson. I mean, grew up right outside of Clemson, and it's a big deal to me. But with all of that said, I decently know Notre Dame football. That's what shocks some Notre Dame fans when they come on. They don't know that I like them. Pigskin Pete's talked about that. He's the same way. They'll think that we're just Homer Clemson fans who know nothing about Notre Dame, and that's always fun. But what I understand, Marcus Freeman had a conversation with Drew Pine because Buckner, Tyler Buckner, who was their starting quarterback, who went down in the Marshall game. And then, of course, they lost the Marshall game. Took a couple of weeks to get Pine back, up and running and everything. Of course, lost 17-15 or something like that against Stanford. I mean, that was a big deal. We had a conversation with him and told him, said, look, we are going to the transfer portal to get another quarterback. And basically what he was telling Pine there, whether he meant to or not, and I think he meant to, was we appreciate the wins that you got, especially the one against Clemson. Y'all, you led the team in that big win. But Buckner's coming back, and we really don't believe in your ability. And he immediately entered the transfer portal. And so today has been a crazy, crazy game. Graham Mertz from Wisconsin, he's hitting the portal. For everybody who doesn't know, Fickle from Cincinnati is now going to be the coach at Wisconsin. You would think that Mertz would want to stick around for that, but apparently not. And then once Cincinnati was vacated, Satterfield from Louisville is now their head coach. I mean, folks, it's just nuts. It's just nuts. The tight end from South Carolina, Stogner, who came in with Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, well, he's leaving again, and there's a lot of really good players out there. I am going to go ahead and temper some expectation by Clemson fans. If you believe for 1 second that Dabo Swinney's going to go to the portal this season, I'll put it this way. I will be so shocked I might vomit. Not because I think he doesn't need to. I believe he needs to. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I believe he needs to go to the portal and fill in any gaps. That's what this portal's for, by the way. Imagine going to a college football coach 10, 15 years ago and saying, would you like to be able to go to, let's just say, a portal or some type of subsection of recruiting and pull players who would like to leave one school because, they just maybe for whatever reason, want to come to your school, and it would actually fill a void for your team for 1 season, maybe 2 seasons, 3 if you're lucky, but 1 or 2 seasons until recruiting comes in. Maybe if they're a good player and they help you out majorly. A lot. Southern Cal, I know Southern Cal got their tail handed to them against Utah. That's a whole other conversation. But Southern Cal majorly turned around. They just forgot to recruit a defense, such as the Pac-12 and the Big 12. But I still say Pac-12. I think it's Pac-10 still. I don't know. All these teams are switching out. Do we really care? I don't. But a lot of these coaches would kill for it, and a lot of these coaches are using it, and that's what I think Swinney should do. And by the way, if anybody's commenting right now, I'm now back on this interface. I can't see you. You could be saying unthinkable things to me right now, and I would not know it. But the point is, Gerald Chapman, I just went back over here to where I could see. Gerald Chapman said, Brian, he's going to the portal this year. I promise you that. I have very good intel on it. I mean, I hope you're right, Gerald. I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning Swinney. I really am. I really am here because. And here's why. Look, I'm not going to sit here and just bash Swinney. I'm not going to bash him. Swinney's done more for Clemson athletics than anybody ever has. Period. A women's softball coach could come out and win 3 national championships in women's softball. Nobody cares about that. They're not if they pack that stadium over there, it still wouldn't fill up a quarter of the north stands at Death Valley, and people wouldn't pay the ticket prices for it either. Sweeney has done so much, but the criticism that he's drawn, especially from me, as somebody who admires a lot of what he's done, is that he was stubborn to a fault. And I know people talk about it, and I saw it in here. Oh, he builds relationships with every. Listen, if you build a relationship with one team member, or one player, excuse me, and it basically holds the middle finger up to the rest of the team, that's wrong. Well, it's a quarterback position. Still wrong. If your O-lineman was playing that poorly and you had another option, would you not put him in? Of course you would. And we all know that the O-line is much more important than what a lot of people says. It's a thankless job in college football. Very few people are unless you're a football mind, unless you're somebody like me. When I go to a football game, I'm going to tell you this. If you've ever been to a football game with me, I've been to games with Chase and Parker, Tiger Nation, Prince 6'1". I've been to games with Pigskin Pete. And what was interesting about one of the first games me and Pigskin Pete went to a game with, here we are. At that time, we were some of the only Clemson YouTubers, and there's more who's joined the community. That's fantastic. But we went together, so we had other people who, watched our channel and stuff. They wanted to come, and we went and so on to the game. And he and I sat there, and it kind of shocked me, and I don't know if he and I have ever talked about this, but Chase knows this, and Parker knows this, and Tiger Nation knows it. I sit there, and I actually watch the game without saying a word. Why? I'm actually interested in the game. I'm not like one of these sorority girls who comes in dressed in basically a bikini and it's, 40 degrees outside in November. And it's like, oh, Brittany, I'm freezing. You think? I'm here to watch the game. I really am. I really love the game that much. I love football, college football especially, Clemson football especially. I love the game. And so unless you have somebody like myself or the Henderson sisters or Pigskin or Tiger Nation who actually comes in, and maybe some of you go to the game and you sit there and you watch it. You watch it. And you're paying attention to the blocks downfield. And I still miss stuff. You're never going to notice the offensive lineman. But I'm going to tell you, you have a bad O-line, good luck, good luck, good luck. And so, we could really use some good O-linemen or someone who wanted a second chance. They really, some of these guys, they realize they made a mistake once they signed the dotted line. They get now into account. People make. How many of you in the past calendar year have you made a poor decision? In the past month, made a poor decision. Past 48 hours, made a poor yeah. My point is, it is easy for you and I to vicariously live through these guys going, well, I knew that I wouldn't make that decision. The truth is that when it comes down to these offensive players, defensive players, these 17, 18-year-old guys, they get stars in their eyes. They have people offering them things. By the way, Texas is still not a good football team, and they have so much money being poured at them. They're not a good football team. Can you imagine going to Texas? There's a lot of people who's in the transfer portal right now from Texas A&M because they got there and they realized this did not add up to what I was told, and they're leaving. So I would think that it would be somewhat of an act of mercy by some programs, including Clemson, to look at these guys and go, hey, maybe we recruited you, you told us no, or whatever. You evaluate their personality. You check into what they've been doing. Are they a trouble person? Are they just someone made a bad decision in the sense of the school that they sign with? Go get them. Good grief, get them. Which he might have signed with someone. I know nothing about this individual, but I saw a wide receiver, Deontay Thornton, from Oregon. He's on the board. This guy's got fantastic ratings, especially. I mean, just people are praising. He's in the portal right now, and if there's a team who's in need of a wide receiver, go get him. If you wanted to create more competition in your wide receiver room, go get him. If you think some guys who are kind of slacking around, go get him. But the criticism that I've given Sweeney was it took him forever to make the right decision with K. And we don't need him to, and I'm just going to point blank say it. We don't need him to do that with the transfer portal. And I don't know how many people, I'm going to come back over here and look in the comments section. I got 108 people watching right now. First of all, thank you all for joining me on this broadcast. If you are not subscribed to me, remember, subscribing is free. I know you hear people say that. It's like, man, I just came on here to listen. If you want to hear about sports, especially Clemson, subscribe to me. Subscribe to me. It's free. Hit the thumbs up. I got like 35 thumbs up in here. Hit the thumbs up. Pass this along to anybody. If you're part of any Clemson or college football forums, share it in there if you like what you're hearing. Also, there is a way to support the channel. I've not put the link in this, but just also another thing on Bobby Durkin's channel, because I have enough subscribers, people can actually donate to me on there. And I'm just going to pull the curtain back and let you in on a little secret. If you give me $10, YouTube's going to take 3 of it. And I think that's ridiculous. So there is a way for you to be able to support the channel, and I'll put that link in after the video is over. It's probably bad marketing on me, but I just don't want to stop. I will not even be paying attention to what I'm talking about. And I have a lot of people in here right now, and I owe it to you to talk about Clemson football. Tiger Nate's in here, said we need to hang out at another game next season. Yes, sir, we do. And I have not responded to you a couple of times that you've reached out to me, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate you reaching out to me, and we do need to go hang out. Let me see. Someone just said that Bobby Durkins doesn't make bad decisions. Watford said, I hope Adam Randall steps up and shows out next year. Yeah, me too. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I'm coming off of the comment section, and I'm going to dive back into the transfer portal. Right now, we're up to 120 people watching. Once again, if you are not subscribed, subscribe, and pass it along. So let's dive right back into this. I have a family. Now, this deals with Sweeney's reluctancy to use the transfer portal. All right. I have a very smart family member who is a lot older than me, but they're not decrepit. They're not in their 70s, 80s, 90s. They have their senses. They actually have done quite well for themselves, so it's not like they're, they're struggling, or, they just have to buy everything from the Dollar Tree or something like that. Which, trust me, I've struggled a lot in my life. So I'm not putting down on anyone who is struggling. I just want to make that very clear, because that sounds really, really bad to me. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm not struggling now, thank you, Jesus. And I mean that literally, not to be funny. But I'm just saying, I'm not talking about a person who cannot go out and spend money at a nicer place and buy nicer products. But this person would constantly, when they would overhear me and some of my family members and friends talk about using Amazon about 4 or 5 years ago, okay? This person would say, well, I don't do that. I like to go to the store. Well, first of all, that's your prerogative. But this same person would also turn around and talk about how the crowds was too much. They couldn't take, they couldn't find parking around Christmas time. They would talk about how they heard that there was people getting good sales online and they didn't understand that. And then they would run into issues later on with trying to get certain products around Christmas time. And it's kind of the shopping season. And then one day they finally broke down after they got finished. They got tired of going to the store and couldn't find the product that they needed. They finally got one of their family members to help them build an Amazon account, show them how to use Amazon, and now this person uses it. After 5 years of shaming me and certain family members and friends of using Amazon and saying, I don't do that. It's just the way I do things. And they said it just like that, by the way. Now they use Amazon all the time. They're happy. And the reason that they did not use Amazon, and I'm not a big fan of Amazon between you and I really don't like them. I could go into other reasons why I don't like them, but I just don't like them. But I do use them from time to time. And so I don't want you to think I'm being hypocritical here. I'm just not a big fan of Amazon. But my point in saying all of this is this. This person was being stubborn and did not want to change their ways. And it took them literally not being able to get certain Christmas gifts, birthday gifts, just right down to everyday needs, because whether it was Amazon or whether it was some other online store, they were not willing to do something different. Why? Because they were stuck in their ways. Period. Now, I know that was a long story, and I could have probably told it a lot quicker, but the truth is, I didn't, but the truth is the truth. I mean, this is just... Do you get me? Do you understand what I'm saying here? That same story as Dabo Swinney with the transfer portal. He has 11 players already who is utilizing the transfer portal. They're just running the other way. Now, whether you and I think that some of those players should stay or not, the player I have my eye on is Dakari Collins. I don't know anything about him personally, but I think we're losing a good one there. I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, it could come out tomorrow that he's, he goes around staring at old women. I don't know. I don't know. But I think we're losing a good one, folks. And I hate that he's transferring out. But Swinney, is he going to be like my family member that in 5 years he goes, you know what, after being called a boomer 50 times, I think I'm finally going to break down and get a kicker out of the transfer portal. They always make slow decisions. They don't want to make it too fast. And folks, I'm just telling you, this is one other thing that he needs to do. It took him all season and costed us a playoff appearance by not starting Gate. After about 7 games in, we saw that DJ, it just was not working out. He would not start Cade, and then he starts Cade the other night, and there was guys catching balls that probably hadn't caught a ball in 10 years. They were catching balls. I mean, heck, Bo Collins was on the sideline, injured with his hoodie on. He bent over to tie his shoes, and Cade threw a ball out of bounds, and he caught it in the back of his hood. Okay, I totally made that up. But I'm just telling you, that's how much it worked the other night. And so I'm just telling you, Swinney needs to get on the ball and making these decisions. Instead of costing us a playoff appearance like he did. He cost us a playoff appearance. And you know what? The more and more I think about it, as long as Cade is playing, I feel way better about Clemson being in the college football playoff than an Ohio State team who lost just 9 days ago by 22 points to a rival at home, who almost blew it to a 1-11 Northwestern team. Can you imagine what Georgia's going to do to Ohio State? Although, if Ohio State will grow a brain, unlike most teams that plays Georgia, and will just cover the two tight ends that they have. I know they have that big 6'7" one. But who do they normally go to? Bowers and McCloskey or whatever his name is. Very talented. Very talented. But go cover those two jokers. Don't be shocked when Bennett throws it to them. Don't go, yeah, man, I lost Bowers. How did you do that? Are you off in the head? My Lord. But my point here, Sweeney's going to have to, he's got to stop making these decisions slow. There's high school coaches who are making faster decisions than he is. And they have, they're being paid very little money to make the decision. And they love their kids just as much as he loves his kids. He's got to stop being so stubborn, because he just literally costed. Forget us fans. Who cares? It's already been proven that we're a bunch of peasants. He doesn't care about us. The donors, yes, but us, we could go jump off the north stands of Death Valley and drop dead. We'll be fine. Now the donors who builds Death Valley, we want to make them happy. And I think that's exactly what happened. The donors stopped playing the games. They're like, look, if you want anything else built, you're going to have to start the kid who should be starting. But Sweeney, one of the things he's going to have to work on personally is to make those decisions quicker. And when you get to games 6 and 7 in the season, it's not looking good. You cannot hold your team hostage over one player. You can't do it, and that will hurt you in recruiting in the long run. It also hurts you with your team, and the morale. People just can't come back from it. They're just like, man, I just don't want to be, almost victimized by this. But anyway, I mean, it's very interesting. It is very, very true. Yeah. Let's see in here. Sue Kavanaugh's in here. Big Ohio State fan. I did see where you lost. Is it Nagiba or Gibi or Ngibi? Forgive me, please. Let me see. I'm worried Bo might leave with DJ. That was a package deal, right? I don't know. I don't know, Mike Talley. I hope not. I think that if Bo wants to really be part of an explosive offense, he doesn't need to leave. Yeah. Let me see. RR said Notre Dame gave Clemson a beating. Yeah, you're telling me. Dabo has no choice but to go to the portal. He doesn't have the numbers on the roster. That doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that towards you. I'm just saying to him that doesn't matter. That does not matter. And Bad Loafer. Am I saying that right? I hope I'm saying that right. Is that right? Bad Loafer. Anyway, said can't stand the pity party. It's football, and he's getting paid very well to perform. He didn't. So bye. I think the thing that I look at with Njigba. Thanks, Sue. Njigba. I think that with, once again, one of the things that makes me angry about some of these coaches is that a lot of these guys, especially in Major D1 football, first of all, I always like to start off with this because there's a lot of people who's jealous of people who make money. I hope to be one of those people who earns a lot of money one day. I do. I'm not going to hide it. So it doesn't bother me when people make a lot of money. What bothers me is when people who make a lot of money and they are paid to do a job, they're paid a lot of money. Okay, imagine this, being a neurosurgeon and you're just kind of okay at it. Well, first of all, that's like life threatening. And second of all, you're paid a lot of money for that expertise. Because not just anybody can be a neurosurgeon. You don't want me operating on your brain. I don't want to operate on your brain. I have a whole blood thing. Like when I see blood, I start to get a little nauseous. And then when I get I have this needle thing that anytime they have to draw blood from me, I almost pass out every time. It's weird. Now, if I was playing ball or if I was out in the yard and kind of fell and, cut my legs up or something like that, yeah, I'd be, kind of grossed out by the blood, but I would be like, okay. But with that said, I would be okay. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, Sweeney is paid $10 flipping million a year. And he is shocked when we're not telling him to bench DJ because we don't like DJ. I've already said I think DJ is a pretty nice guy. Everything that I've seen, I know some people from behind scenes who says he's a decently nice guy. But the truth is, he is paid unimaginable money to make the right decision. And that right decision is difficult. You don't want to look at a young man and tell him, hey, I brought you all the way out here from California. You've taken a lot of criticism, but I'm telling you, unfortunately, I'm going to have to replace you. He didn't want to do that. And then when everybody told him that he should do it, he got mad. And just 5 nights before he wins the ACC championship, by doing what the fans were complaining that he should do. Listen to me, what the fans was complaining that he should do. And when we question Streeter and when we question Grisham and when we question anybody and how things are being handled, it's all because none of this has made sense. And then he goes and he does exactly what we say or said that he needs to do. And then guess what happens? You win 39-10 in the conference championship game. In the conference championship game. I know that people are not going to make every decision right. Please understand that. But this morning when I woke up, I had a choice. I could put on clothes. I had PJs on, but I'm just saying, I could put on clothes and walk outside, or I could walk outside naked. And to me, that decision is about the same as starting a quarterback who has just fell off. He's not worked in the system. I wish him the very best. I've made that very clear. This is not his system. And you had a quarterback who literally, every time you put him out there with the starters and you didn't call crappy plays with him, you turn the kid loose, he has did wonders. To me, I equate that with me having to decide to walk outside in front of public, my next door neighbors, naked or fully clothed. That's the equivalent. Some decisions, folks, are not that hard. And this was one of them. But look, we are, as fans, we have been vindicated. For some reason, I just had Dashboard Confessional start going through my head. I'll show you how old I am because I remember that song. But my point in all of this is that Cade went out. He did great. His enthusiasm infected everyone. The defensive players were fired up. And that does something to you. That does something to a team. That does something to the OC. The verdict's still out on Streeter for me as far as what he can do. But let me tell you this. When they turn Cade loose, ball game. And we can't, here's what's sad. We can't run back time and say, what happened if you started Cade against South Carolina? That's in the book. South Carolina, if South Carolina fans wants to look at me and go, we're still living rent-free in your mind. Yeah, I mean, I sat there and watched the game. We played a horrible game, made a ton of mistakes, and our coach didn't put the best player out on the field. You took advantage of it, so congratulations. Had he made the right decision, you'd have lost 8 years in a row, 9 years calendar-wise. But he didn't, so you benefited from it. The point is, stop doing this. That's the big thing that I say to the offense. There's probably a call-in show that's already happened, and I hope that fans called in tonight and said to the coach, who I think is a good guy, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I hope they said, told you so, and then hung up. Told you so. You wouldn't have had to did that big rant that you did a week ago had you just simply did what was right, and that was start Cade. If is one of the biggest words that we could ever, and I'm going to end on this. If is one of the biggest words, though it's only 2 letters. If I did this, this would have happened. If I would have done that, this would have happened. If I didn't do that, that wouldn't have happened. We get it, especially if you've lived any amount of life. If Clemson would have started Cade earlier this season, or worked a 2-quarterback system, I think things would be different right now if the decision that ended up being made, it only took us pushing ourselves out of a conference championship. It only took us losing the longest home streak we've ever had to our rival, by the way, which if I'm them, I'm going to rub that in our face for a long time. Also, breaking the streak of Clemson winning over them for 7 consecutive matches. 7 consecutive years. If the right decision was made. Folks, here's the deal. We will never know because if was never implemented. It just goes into the whole other if column. And I think that as I said a couple of weeks ago, and I even said it I think last week, this is going to be one of those things that our kids and our grandkids are one day going to look at the roster of this season. They're going to look at the roster of this season. And when they're looking at all the great football teams, it's kind of like in the mid to late 90s. When you look at who was playing on defense for Clemson in the 90s, late 90s, and you see Brian Dawkins and Dexter McCleon and Trevor, what's his face? He transferred in from Michigan. Golly, I'm losing my mind. He was a defensive lineman. He ended up entering the draft early, went and played 1-2 Super Bowls with Denver Broncos. When you look at that and you realize how poor we were, and you look at even some of the guys who played on the offense for us, and you realize how terrible we were, you could only look at each other and you go, how did that happen? I'll tell you how it happened. Poor coaching, poor hiring by the administration first. I'm talking about the administrators. Poor coaching, poor hiring within coaching and positions. That's how. And that is exactly how I feel about this year's team. I know we won the conference championship. Awesome. At least, yes, Trevor Price. Thank you. But when you look at what has happened this season, even with the conference championship, some of those years in the late 80s, I see where we only lost 2 games, and you're like, but we lost to NC State. I know NC State was good, but none of this makes sense when you go back and you look at what that same NC State team did. Go look at some of the late 80s. It'll blow you away. And you look at who's on the team, and you're like, how did they lose that game? Folks, I believe that's this year. We're living history that we're going to end up coming back to and going, how in the heck did we lose with Brian Brisset and Miles Murphy and Trenton Simpson and Will Shipley and Bo Collins and Maffa. And why was Kate sitting on the bench again? Huh? It was what reason? I'm telling you, folks, that's where we're at. Well, listen, there's 105 of you sitting in here. You're watching this. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on this channel. I know that there's a lot of different sports outlets that you could be listening to, but I do appreciate you listening to me and checking me out. If you haven't subscribed, remember, it's flipping free. It is free. So subscribe. Hit your thumbs up. That's really, really quick, and you just hit the thumbs up. And pass this along to anybody who likes to talk college football. And one of the things I always like to talk about, especially with myself, I have no ties to the media. I have no ties to anyone that I'm afraid that if I say something that they don't like, that all of a sudden they could cut my program, or they could just go out and people trash me already. But I have no media ties, which means there's no strings attached to this. I say what I say. If I'm wrong, I admit it. And if I'm right, and it takes time for it to come out, I definitely remind everybody. Because I think especially in the media today, it's just ridiculous, all the way down to local media. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm Brian Knight. I'm not Bobby Durkins. You don't hear me go, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, booger." I'm not doing that here. But somebody just shot a firecracker outside of my window. Holy crap, I about doo-dooed myself. But once again, thank you so much for joining me. It's always good to be a Tiger. Go Tigers.